Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here for the TTR, February TTR Presents, and we're featuring Danyell Valette. Did I say that right? I think I said
Yes, you did, Valette. Very good.
very good. Well, I thank you very much, and we'll let you talk. But I'm going to let Nicole, maybe Nicole Williams, introduce you for this very different, very unique title entitled TTR Presents for February. I'll let you take it away, Nicole. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer, and everybody on here now and who are going to catch the replay. I am so honored to get to introduce Danyell Ballet, coming to us from the Netherlands live on Zoom, which, let's see, so it's 12 Eastern, 6 p.m. Netherlands time, dinner time. And so it's our lunch and learn, and it's her dinner and teach. Dinner and teach. But I'm so excited. She has been a blessing to me over a year with her teaching me all about ketogenic lifestyle, how your hormones affect your eating, so many things that we actually have control over naturally to help us. And I just absolutely love that she recently had a podcast that was called Let Your Gut Hang Out. And because I think as society, we're taught, to be slim, look slim, tuck everything in nicely. But sometimes that can work against ourselves, no matter, dietary changes or anything we're trying to do. So I'm just so excited that Danyell is going to be speaking to us about this. She's a TTR member. We first met in the mastermind online. Was it like a year ago, Jennifer? In the power of networking with, I don't know if you're going to tell your story about how you met us, but I know this is more about the Let Your Gut Hang Out. But how neat that she was filling in for a friend on Don Evans Casey's evening meeting, and from that was introduced to Jennifer, and then joined the mastermind where I met her on the mastermind online. Amazing program Jennifer had. It's just amazing how the world connects us. So I am just so thank you. And without further ado, welcome Danyell. Welcome Danyell.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And what a welcome. What a beautiful introduction. Good night. I almost feel like I'm famous. But honestly, I thank you all so much for having me here today. I'm very excited to be here. And yes, I did meet you all exactly like Nicole was saying through the groups, through TTR networking groups. And I was, a friend of mine said, I need somebody I was told to invite somebody and I need somebody. Can you be there? I'm there for you, girl. I'm there for you. And that's how it started. And here we are later with great connections, beautiful people, friendships, amazing. And I love it. And I would recommend that anybody who is interested in more than just passing out a business card to get involved with TTR networking. That is absolutely true. And through that, I was able to meet Nicole. Nicole, she has a blog coaching program. And so as I was working through her program, I found that I needed help. And so as she was helping me, I was able to help her. And we struck up a deal. And so she became one of my beautiful clients. And I'm so glad to have her so that way I can help her and guide her and show her the way. And I'm able to do that with so many other of my clients that I have. I have some in Missouri. I have some here in the Netherlands. I have some in California as well. So it's really exciting just to be able to share with people. So all my practice is online. It's Envision Health, Integrative Nutrition and Wellness. So it's a beautiful, and I'll offer you the link tree for that. It's a beautiful way for me to be able to communicate with people without being stuck in one place, because I'm pretty sure that everyone knows once COVID hit, like being stuck in one place was just not the jam anymore. And it's great when I can take my business on the road, or if I'm out and about and I have a meeting that I need to get to, that I can get to it by Zoom right away. But a little bit more about letting your gut hang out for ultimate health. I have to start with this. You all, we have this problem, and I didn't realize it until I was communicating through one of my podcast episodes. I had listened to another podcast by a mentor of mine, and he had interviewed James Nestor. James Nestor talks about breathing. And James Nestor said something very integral to me. Well, he said it to me. I felt like he was talking to me. He said, you are wasting your breath. You are taking too much in and you're putting too much out, and you're not getting anything from it. And from there, I started thinking about that. And I said, oh, wow, what is that? That means so much, because I'll start digging deep and I'll start layering things on there. He may not have said anything else, but I heard what I heard. And so that's the way it went. So listening to him, I realized that we were so busy. I was so busy holding my breath in to look slimmer, to look shapely, to feel as if I was accepted, to hide myself from who I actually was. And that didn't come, those deep parts of it did not come into play until maybe a few more episodes down the line, as I continue to think about it, because I started working with breath. And I even asked Nicole, who was also working with it, I said, what are the breathing techniques that a person can do to de-stress themselves? So she gave me some breathing techniques. And so I started blasting that on the podcast as well. This is what we can do. Let's get our breathing in, because we are holding it in. We're holding it in. Are we holding in just our air? No, we're holding in emotions. We're holding in stress. We're holding in falseness, things that we expect ourselves to be, that we plan on being, but we do it and we pretend like we're that person right then, as opposed to allowing ourselves to build the character to be that person that we're going to be in the future. And once that thing started toiling in my head and turning, I said, goodness, this is it. And so I was planning on doing a episode on beta cells, which is the cells that cry out to the pancreas to release insulin, because my podcast is type 2 take 2. So it's based on diabetes type 2 and health related issues. So I could not do that episode because that one was burning inside of me, to just let your gut hang out. And it just kept on burning and churning inside me. I said, enough is enough. We're not doing this beta cells, not today. We're not doing it. We're going to do this, let your gut hang out. And so as I went on and I discussed it on the podcast, I realized that it was more than just breathing, because as we breathe, sometimes, I know I do, I don't know about anybody else, but I know I do. I take my shallow breath. I take a shallow breath, just enough. I take just enough. Think about that. Do you take just enough in your life, in your family, in the monetary gain, in just expressing yourself? Are you giving yourself just enough? Not enough, not more than enough, not the abundance that you could be receiving, but instead the just enough, just skimming the surface. And when I realized that I was just skimming the surface of my oxygen, good night. That alone I said, wait a minute. But then I looked in the mirror and I realized that every time I passed the mirror, I sucked my gut in just a little. And I didn't realize this. I said, how is this possible that I'm sucking my gut in? And I know, please, to suck my gut in. Push your chest up, hold your head high, straighten out your back, and suck in your gut. And now walk proud. Now, that was training for what should have been done with character, but that's not who I was. And I know we have this, fake it till you make it mentality. And in some instances, that's great. But when you skip an integral process, such as getting that character in, then you're constantly faking yourself out. And so when I realized that, I said, this is gold. We need to really pay attention to this, because that applies to health as well. But it's so much more emotional, spiritual, that if you don't get these components, that it doesn't matter what you do when your health with your body, it will constantly fight against the other two parts, because you have your body, you have your spiritual, you have your emotional. And as you're fighting to be something, while your body your mind and your spiritual, your mind is here, your spirit is here, and your body's trying to push forward, then you're constantly pulling yourself backwards, and you're fighting against yourself, such as a rubber band. You're constantly pulling and then contracting right back. So I had to discuss it, and I realized that it's not just about health, but then getting into health, we have a problem, and it's been around forever. It's just what it, but it doesn't have to be. Never does it have to be. The is what it is can stop right now if we allow it to. And that is shoving our bodies into the shapers. I know we love the shapers. We look sexy. Oh my goodness, we love it. We look fantastic. Never looked as great as we did, even when we were teenagers, we didn't look so good, But there comes a point when we're again forcing ourselves into this construct, this idea. And I have no problem with making yourself look glamorous, making yourself look beautiful, but realizing then that what you're doing right now in shaping, putting the shapers on, because I know I had a good corset that I was, spilling over, actually, and so I had those things as well. But as long as we are hiding ourselves in those products, in those things, not as a man-made product. Oh my goodness, I can't stand it. Men, they're doing this to us. We're trying to be ourselves. No, this is about us not recognizing ourselves because we've been so busy hiding ourselves in those things. Now, once you know who you are and you want to spruce yourself up, then I say, go for it, but then fight for who you want to be. Because that's what we're doing. We're putting the shapers on because this is who we want to be. There are some cases where physically it is not possible to be that person that you're shaping yourself to be. But if you're emotionally and mentally there with the idea of what you want, that you're planning, then that physical will work with you, or at least you won't be fighting against yourself. And we find that we fight against ourselves all the time. Every time we do this or that or the other. I know I mentioned on the episode that I have burgundy braids, and I can tell you my hair does not come to this length at all, at all. And I felt so good getting these braids. I did. I said, yes. But you know what else I'm doing? I'm taking vitamins. I'm eating properly. I'm eating the food that I need to eat so that way I can maintain and to help myself to grow, so that when I take these things out, maybe my hair is this much longer, but it's longer and it's not broken off. And those are the things. So letting your out is so much more than just a catchphrase or, an exciting idea, but it hits every part of the person. And once they can do those things, it takes time. Believe me, it takes time, no doubt. Because there's a mind shift that has to first be accomplished. That you'll be 100% there, because I promise you, I will catch myself with my stomach sucked in. And then I have to say, no. And because it's not conscious anymore, it's ingrained. It's something that has to be broken. And so just like when we change our eating habits, we are so used to eating certain ways because that's just the way it is. It's ingrained, it's automatic, go to the refrigerator, grab the item, eat, no problem. It's ingrained. It has to be broken. It has to be broken. There has to be a realization. And it's not about food. That's the other thing. I talk about no food guilt, and I absolutely mean it. And that it's a part of my full program. That's faith, that's lifestyle, and it's labs. Because if you don't have the mindset, the faith that you need to move forward, then you will never move forward, because you'll always say, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it, so why try? I had diabetes for 8 years, and I finally reversed it when I said enough is enough. I said, okay, that doesn't happen all the time as quickly for some people as it did for me, but I had it for 8 years. I was on insulin. I was taking medication. I was taking the other medication to take care of the medication. And I was taking the other medication to take care of the other medication that was taking care of the other medication. That's a bit much. That's a bit much. And I did not want to live in that type of scenario anymore. I was tired of it. I was crying all the time. My hormones messed up. I couldn't focus anymore. My brain was cloggy and no longer clear. But I said, I'm just going to do what I always knew what to do, because then it's easier and I don't have to think about it. I can just go to the McDonald's and just say no bun. Great. But the McDonald's meat has all kinds of unsavory, I'll say, items within it that is not helpful. Same thing for Burger King. I was a Burger King manager. I didn't know any better. I said, anytime we have excess, let me have it. I'm taking that thing home. We've got dinner. Yay. You know, I was excited. Bring those Oreo pies. Let's do this thing. Yes, I see you, because I was there. And the shakes, the Oreo shakes, everything. I did it because it was easy and it was delicious. It was easy and it was delicious. I mean, they're not going to sell you crap food that also doesn't taste good. I mean, what's the point of that? And so when I learned what I needed to do to make the changes, then I realized that, okay, now's the time. I need to fight for myself, because I was tired. I was tired of going in and out of these different fad diets. I was tired of, looking at myself and not being happy. I was tired of not being able to get up. I was tired of having to be pulled off of the couch by two people.
Mm.
Two people. That for me, that broke my heart. My daughter had to pull me up. My husband with a messed up hip had to pull me up. We have a problem here. That's not what I wanted. So when I realized that there was a way to do it, I went through the ketogenic diet. But still, my mind wasn't there. My mind just said, let's get rid of the diabetes. We got rid of the diabetes. Yes, good, great. But then I realized so much more. And so I went through ketogenic training. I became a certified ketogenic living, so that way I can help others to follow the diet and lose the weight, because I thought that was all there was to it. But it still wasn't here. The will was there. The will was there, but it wasn't here. The mind shift wasn't there. Letting your gut hang out really gives you an idea, gives you the opportunity to just let it really hang out, unbuckle that thing that you've got that's constraining your gut, that's keeping you from breathing. Breathe. Just, and just take it and realize how good it is, because those things are constraining you. They're keeping you from your best self, And that best self, sure, you look great on the outside right now. You look fantastic right now. All of you look beautiful right now. Those of you I can't see, I'm sure you do. But what about what you could be? Because right now you're being limited, just like you limit your oxygen by taking those shallow breaths. For me, I started off with shallow breaths because I had horrendous breath. That was due to Candida bacteria overgrowth. It was yeast overgrowth. I didn't know. I was a kid. From here I am. I'm 40 now. I just barely realized after all that time that was the reason. Gut problems, green toenails. Why? Candida yeast. And so what did I do? I did not let my gut hang out on my feet either. I always covered my feet up, always had enclosed shoes, things that made me feel okay, where everybody else was wearing their summer shoes and looking cute, and they had their nice outfits on, and they were standing close to each other. Not me. Where's the breath mint? Okay, no breath mint. I'll just breathe shallow. I cut myself off. In so many different ways that I couldn't even recognize myself anymore. It did not take the whole point of getting into this breathing, though that was a fire starter, but it actually took my realizing that I wanted more out of life. And it sounds like this is more spiritual, emotional, as opposed to physical. But if you don't get all of those in alignment, then it's really hard to do the physical things, because this is what happens. Spiritual and emotional are trying to do something. The body's trying to do something else. Your body becomes stressed out. Your body creates inflammation. And you wouldn't believe it, but because of the stress, cortisol is being created. cortisol is a beautiful hormone that wakes you up in the morning. Oh, thank you, God, I'm awake, a new day. It may not be sun, but I'm awake, you know, and it also keeps you and gets you ready for the fight of your life if it's necessary, that fight of your life, whatever that is. If it's getting out there on the freeway and dealing with the bozo next to you that doesn't use a turn signal, or if it's getting out into work and dealing with that annoying boss that just doesn't understand that you just need one more breath. Cortisol is right there having your back. And because it has your back and you're in a chronic state of using that cortisol who's got your back, then cortisol is saying, okay, bring it, glucocorticoids. Let's release the sugar from the body because the glucose in your body will calm the cortisol. So then what happens? The glucose increases, the cortisol increases more. Why? Because the glucose that has been released becomes also inflammatory. So while you're thinking with your mind, then your body is fighting you. And then once it's fighting you, once your body begins to fight you, your body starts storing fat. It starts storing the fat. Maybe we don't care about having excess fat. Maybe we're okay. I just released an episode about BMI and obesity just now, just before I got on. And if you have excess adipose tissue, then your body from that adipose, that extra fat, it creates inflammatory cytokines. When your body's inflamed, it creates cortisol. When cortisol is heightened, it can create more inflammation from the sugar that's released. It's a cycle, but it doesn't have to be that way. And that's why we go all the way back to letting our gut hang out. Because when we let our gut hang out, we can release ourselves from those shackles of thinking that we have to just fall in this certain line, but we can actually get to know ourselves. We can know what we actually like, what we actually enjoy, and what is not fitting for us. I'm not saying to say no to everybody, but sometimes you have to say no to some people, and that's okay. That is absolutely okay. Get ready, get the notes coming. I am not available. And that's okay because that's what you need. Because sometimes you just need to take a breath and really let it hang out. Let that gut hang out. And when you can get that full oxygen in, not only does that help to de-stress, there's a long breath. It's called a long sigh. It's 2 deep breaths in and 1 long breath out. You may know it. Two in the nose, 1 out of the mouth. That is a de-stressor. Yes. Not only does it de-stress, but it will also stimulate you in a positive way. It dampens the sympathetic nervous system that, oh, I'm feeling crazy moment. It dampens it and it gives you energy. But you can't do that if you're constrained. You can't do that if you're shackled by all these other things, these things that you think that you're supposed to look like. And maybe you want to be that person, but you're not ready for it yet because you haven't gone through the character building process. And that's what I work with my clients about, helping them to not only find their why, but to throw away the shackles of food guilt. We don't do it. We hate it. If I can, we'll stomp it out. We hate it. The food guilt, no. There's always the good, better, best. Always good, better, best. Good is what you can afford. Better is when you can afford something better and is a little bit healthier. And best is when you've arrived. And maybe you've only arrived for that day, but you've arrived. Maybe tomorrow you're back at good, but that's okay because as long as your mindset is set where it needs to be, then it's going to help you because mindset has a complete handhold, a grip on how your food will be absorbed in your body and whether or not those vitamins and minerals that you've been shooting for are even absorbed properly, because the cortisol will affect that. The stress will affect that. So when people say give grace, give thanks, I mean, it's I give thanks to God because I'm thankful to God for the food that He provided. I mean, that's just my honest to goodness truth. But even if you're just thankful for the animal that had to lay down its life, or the plant that had to be mulled over to make this, that, or the other, then the thankfulness is what's going to help your body to actually absorb those nutrients, because then it's no longer about, ugh, this food, or ugh, I can't stand it. So if you're sitting there eating the Brussels sprouts because it's good for you and you are hating it, then it's done nothing for you. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It gave you calories for energy. That's it. Not vitamins, not minerals. Why? It may sound like hocus pocus, but your body interprets that as a foreign, stressful object, and it doesn't break it down the way it needs to be eaten. Can you believe it? Wow, we are amazingly constructed. It blows my mind every time. And because it does, I share this also. I try not to water hose people, because I love it so much that sometimes I share too much. Some people can handle it. Nicole can handle it. Some people can't handle it. Just tell me exactly what you want me to do, and I'll do that. Got it. But when you let your gut hang out, you are not only getting the full, that's faith, that's lifestyle, and that's labs, but you're also getting the whole mental, emotional, spiritual capacity that goes along with it. Because without all of those things, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. I could go on, but I think I would like to see if there are any questions.
Questions, anybody? I think we're all thinking.
Okay, I was trying to unmute. So I completely understand what you're saying, Danyell, and I believe it because I know, there were times that I implemented what I thought was a healthier practice or behavior, but wasn't fully or holistically bought into the idea. I'm going to start taking these vitamins, but I'm like, I just have to do this every day and remember to do it. And it's not like I was grateful, not like I manifested the thought of this is healthy for me. I'm just doing it because I'm supposed to do it. And then I get upset that, well, why isn't it working the way that it's supposed to work? I'm doing it now. I'm doing the behavior. Yeah. So I understand how, it takes that mental, that spiritual, that mindset of not only implementing the more positive behaviors, but focusing mindfully that this healthier behavior is going to make the positive changes that I desire, that I'm thankful for the opportunity to have the vitamins and have an opportunity to improve my health, that I'm going to celebrate myself because the changes aren't going to be immediate. It's going to be over time, and I'll be able to celebrate the little changes that I observe instead of looking at it negatively, instead of letting stress block the improvement or the opportunities. And I didn't realize that before. So, but I want to make sure to be clear, you're not saying necessarily don't do the aesthetic, the stuff, but just not rely on it for.
Indeed. Okay. Yes, Dawn, absolutely. And you hit it right on the head. We can love ourselves and we can take care of ourselves. There's a way that we want to look, but as long as we are working also towards that with our bodily movements, with our mental capacity, if it's that person with a powerful walk, talk, or demeanor, and we pretend to be her. Let's also work on being her. Let's learn the things. Let's get the books. Let's change our mindsets. Let's, whatever that takes to be that person, write it down. What do I love about that person? What do I love about the person that I pretend to be? Either if it's emotionally, spiritually, if it's physically, what do I love about looking like this? What can I do to get myself in this? And then if my body refuses, because sometimes it does, sometimes there are things that we have to work out emotionally, physically, also spiritually. If those things are a blockage, then let me work on those things as well as look my cutest. Because that's important.
Gotcha. Thank you so much,
Hey,
Danyell.
you're welcome. My pleasure.
Can you really look cute and all that stuff if you don't feel it? I don't know. Isn't that?
That's a great question. That's a great question. That's where it comes back to what is stopping me from feeling it. What
Right.
do I not like, or what is preventing that for me? Because I will tell you myself, there are times I look in the mirror and that's a double negative. I never think that I'm ugly, but I certainly don't think sometimes, most times, that I'm pretty. I say, okay, I'm average, I have an average look, great. That's good enough. But that's not good enough in my heart, because it hurts my heart to say that it's good enough. You understand? So
Mhm.
what can I do instead? Well, I can get some charcoal toothpaste and brush my teeth instead of the regular toothpaste or the whitening toothpaste, whatever, I can find things that lower the toxic load in my lifestyle, that possibly inhibits what I'm feeling cute about. Maybe my skin is not looking as great. Okay, well, what am I using that is causing it to not be better? Maybe it helps, but it's not better. Maybe it's not giving me the healthy skin that I want. It's just supposed, or it looks like it's doing something. What else can I do? Can I drink more water? That makes me feel great. Can I add water and lemon juice and salt to my morning routine before I wake up? Cleanse the toxins out so that way I can feel refreshed? Oh, absolutely. Do you know that is a pump up? That is, if you tell yourself that you're doing something great for yourself early in the morning, then you start looking at yourself a little bit better, like, I did that. You know, it's a thing, right?
Right.
It is. And those tiny little things, going to bed properly. I know we're all business women here, and it's hard sometimes to get to bed on time. I understand, but getting sufficient amount of sleep will help you to wake up with a better attitude, especially for yourself, because then you won't be beating yourself up for, oh, I should have got, oh man, I'm so tired and I have all these things to do. So already you're preparing, you're getting all the piles ready before you even go and wake up, and then you load it on yourself afterwards. Why? There's got to be some things that can be adjusted, like writing down everything you need to do, and then leaving it alone. Close your eyes, put the phone out of the room. Dare we? That's a hard one. Take the phone out of the room. What are you thinking? I mean, this is the culture we live in, but if we want to love on ourselves a little bit more, sometimes it takes taking things away so that way we can add to ourselves. But also adding things like that fresh water with the lemon and the salt, just and it may sound horrific, or it may sound refreshing. Peppermint, essential oil, refreshing, all of the things set the mood for you to love yourself. Go date yourself early in the morning so that way when you're ready to look your cutest, you know who you're looking cute for and why. Goodness gracious, that's another one. I'm gonna write that down.
Cool. What is your podcast again, and how do we find all that information, Danyell? Maybe you could put it in the chat too for us.
I sure will. It is Type 2 Take 2, and it's type just like the type, and then it's number 2, but I'm gonna type it in there as well.
Okay.
Watch Nicole get in there faster than I do. And you can find this on Spotify or anywhere where it's being played, as well as Apple, um, Apple Podcasts, Google, I believe as well. Um, it's it's there. I mean, I think I kind of go off because my emotions are so people. So if you can bear with that, then I think you're going to get so much out of it, because it's just, for me, it's one of those things. It's just one of those labors of love that I love. I absolutely love it. It helps me to be able to help everyone else, especially those who can't afford to work with me or anyone, because it's not like I charge outrageous prices at all. I do my best to be available to everyone. I look for those people who are the women who are, middle age or so, who've had their kids or are in the middle of still raising their kids. Those who are finished with raising kids but are still trying to work with their hormones, because good night, they forgot who they were while they were being mommy, daddy, while they were being, everybody else that they needed to be outside of themselves. And there's nothing wrong with being all things to all people until you forget who you are. And then you have no idea how to share yourself anymore. You forgot. You forgot who you are, so you don't know the starting place. So I work with those people. I work heartily with people with blood sugar dysregulation, because from a personal point, I know what it feels like to have been there without having proper help. More like, well, just eat better, lose weight, and exercise. Let me tell you, friends, and my attitude comes out on this. It does. Eating less and moving more does not make for a healthy body. It just makes for someone with body dysmorphia. That's it. That's it. It can help if you have the right mindset. But eating more or eating less and moving more without engaging the hormones, focusing on other things other than just eating, looking at the diet, yes. Look at your emotional balance, yes. Look at your stress, yes. How are you managing your stress? How are you managing the toxins that are coming into your body? Are you resting? Are you actually getting rest? Which is different from sleep, and sleep is different from rest. There's a difference. Are you actually focusing on emotional balance? Are you looking at science-backed supplements? Do you have a success mindset? Do you have a can-do-it attitude? That's when we say fake it till you make it. Just pretend like you can do it. And sometimes right there, you gotta pretend. And then you make it because you work on it in the back end. You put the front out, because sometimes we have to go to work and our bosses don't want to see us looking grumpy. And the customers or the clients really don't want to deal with a bad attitude person. So we got to fake it. But we still have to be working on the back end to getting to the place where we need to be. So that's diet, exercise. And you probably say, oh my gosh, but we're just talking about diet. But the diet for you, the diet bio-individually set up for you to succeed, recognizing what are your stressors, what are your sensitivities, because that makes a difference. That makes a big difference. And once you can figure that out, you can figure so much stuff out. And then the chronic inflammation that hits will be way less, because you know what those sensitivities are. And then once you handle that, you're looking at the toxin removal, as we mentioned. What kind of toxins are dealing? Well, maybe it's just your water. Maybe you need to get rid of that body wash. Maybe you need something a little more natural. Maybe the BPAs and all the other things are just not your friend. Just things. And it's just, that's where the diet, the exercise, and the rest. I saw your eyes. Rest and sleep they're not the same, because rest, you're just taking that moment and resting, stopping, maybe meditating if you meditate, being thankful, looking up into the sky and realizing that it's not green for once. Because how many of us look into the sky and actually say, wow, that sky is really blue? We really, normally we don't. We're just passing right through, but recognizing that sky is actually blue, or the hue of blue, or that cloud just looks like the fluffiest cotton candy that I probably shouldn't be eating, but I really want right now. Those things, just appreciating. It makes a big difference.
Danyell, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
When you're talking about the difference between sleep and rest,
Yes.
that is a particular issue for me right now that I'm trying to figure out how effective my rest is. And I've got to schedule myself for a sleep study soon. But I'm wondering, is there some other way that the normal average person determines that they are getting enough rest as opposed to just, sleeping a solid 8 hours?
Yes, indeed. Because again, sleeping and rest are two different things. So sleeping, you're actually eyes closed, you have your REM sleep, which is the rapid eye movement, and your body is detoxifying. Rest is you taking that moment to stop. So you're thinking more about sleep, yes? Or are you thinking more about rest?
Well, I want to,
You want
I'm
both.
focused on optimum health.
Yes,
So I
yes,
just want to
awesome.
make sure that my body's getting what it needs.
Yes, absolutely.
I do feel like I generally sleep an adequate number of hours,
Yeah.
but I don't feel like I'm getting optimum rest.
Yes.
And that's, the purpose of me pursuing the sleep study. And that's just in my head right now, but I'm wondering, well, how does the average person determine?
Absolutely. Now, if you're connecting your rest to your sleep, or if you're having restful sleep, there are, bands that you can use that they've got some tech. I'm not big on spending money. I'll tell you that right now. Buying all that, you can do it. There's no problem with that. I do not shut that down. But there are other ways, like you mentioned, the average Jane. As far as rest is concerned, if you can't sit down for more than 5 minutes without thinking about everything else you have to do, there's an issue. You're not getting enough rest. You're not getting the proper rest that you need because your mind can't declutter. It cannot just calm down. That's rest. But that is daytime rest, the rest that you would need, like a Sabbath, giving yourself a seventh of the day outside of sleeping time to actually rest down and to not do things. But sleeping, if you're to know, is sometimes you could be over anxious. You can be over anxious. You can be stressed out. You find that you're not healing well, or you're cold often. You can also find that lowers your immune system by not getting enough sleep because your body needs to detox. And if it's not detoxing properly during the night, then that congestion will show up with lowering your immune system throughout the day. So that's that. There's anxiousness. Not everybody is an anxious person, or not everybody recognizes themselves as anxious. But when you're not getting enough rest, that's definitely one of them. You're a bit grumpier, and I'm pretty sure everybody can recognize a bad mood from you. 5 miles away, they can recognize it because that's not who you are. And even if they can't, your mood has changed slightly, or maybe somebody is more, or maybe, and that sounds so, well, that sounds like high blood sugar or low blood sugar, but that could be a part of sympathetic nervous system dominance. And when your body is dealing with so much and it's not able to from the stress, from improper sleep, from toxins as well, from improper rest just being while you're awake, even if you're taking a rest during the day as a non deep sleep rest, just a nap or two, that can be considered rest if you don't go to deep sleep just to get that. But some symptoms of it, again, you get cold fast. Your body needs to rejuvenate. The sleep is when your body can do all that. You need from 9:30, from 10:30, I apologize, from 10:30 to about 3 o'clock in the morning. Your body at that point is detoxing, breaking everything down, getting rid of the things, preparing your bowels, kicking that stuff out. If your bowels are not clear, if your bile ducts are stuffed or filled with toxins, then you also are not able to release those emotions, those toxins from your body, which causes you to feel jittery, less rested. So that could be a thing too. How can you use a dry brush at night before you go to bed. At night before you go to bed, if you shower before you go to bed, leave some eucalyptus drops in your shower or in your bathtub. Use magnesium, use the or Epsom salts, if you will, in your bathtub if you have that. Otherwise, take a magnesium supplement so that way you can get yourself into a rested moment so your brain can relax. If you're stressed out and you go to bed, that will keep you from getting proper rest. Take ashwagandha to calm yourself down. All of the things, those natural things, those will help you to get the rest that you need. So that way, when you wake up, you'll actually feel rested, because it may just be a magnesium deficiency, or it may just be you having to rearrange your life a little bit so that way you can focus on proper rest.
Thank you. Very helpful. Very helpful.
Very well.
I feel like we need to have Danyell come back and give us like so many different some different things, a couple different ones, different times of the year. What things should we be thinking about now, Danyell? What things should we be, because you're bringing up all kinds of stuff. My question a while ago, and then you went into so much more. It was like, so we really can't let our guts hang out, right? We don't want to, and there's really not, it's not good to wear those girdles and stuff, right? But that was just kind of the beginning. That's where we're saying, just get comfortable, be happy with you, right?
Yes,
Live the best you can be, and don't feel like you have to be sucking your gut in figuratively or physically, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think we should have Danyell come back and talk to us more about, because it seems like there's so much to talk about, right?
Oh.
Every time Danyell starts talking in our meetings and stuff, it's always been like, I think she's got a lot more to share. I think she has a lot. And then today it's like, I don't think I've heard her say any of this before. So she's got a lot to share. Anybody have any other questions? I know I think Nicole's posted, maybe, I don't know. I think we wanted to get some of her her blogging, which we want to do anyway with TTR, to take some of her. So, and the same thing, Dawn, anybody that has got a blog. But Danyell, I hope that we would like you to come back and talk more and share more. I think we don't even really know your total story, but you came from having diabetes and now you're coaching. And what is it? Tell us again what you are. You're a ketogenic. Oh, wait a minute. I have it written down. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm a ketogenic health practitioner.
Okay.
So not only do I focus on the nutrition, but I also focus on the lifestyle of ketogenics. So it's not just food, but it's the exercise. It's how to get through, how to cycle, how to carb cycle, how to not be stuck. But then I take it to the integrative health practitioner level, where I wean you off of being low carb or keto to find your best carb level, so you will never have to feel like you are deprived, because there's nothing like standing in front of her crying because you don't know it's full.
Yeah, that's too bad. Yeah, I get it. Well, thank you. Anybody got anything? I mean, I'm going to email this out, and Danyell's email will be in there. Danyell, do you have a website?
I don't, but I have a link tree.
You have a what?
I don't, but I have a link tree, and in there it's connected where
Okay.
you can, I'll do both. Let me do that. Let me see.
Yeah, and I think it hasn't been terrible, but our connection, every couple words, it seems like we lose a word or two. But I think you have done well to keep us going. Oh, okay. Envision Health. I knew that one. Can we go on Facebook and find that, or?
Absolutely. It's connected also to my Facebook. Contact us. My Facebook business page. That's Envision Health Coaching. So I'll go ahead and get that on there too.
Thank you. And I'll include that, everybody. Thank you, Danyell, so much. Every time we've talked to Danyell, we always have to kind of plan it around the fact that she's 6 hours ahead of us. So thank you so much. That was really, I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much. Anybody? Last call. Any questions?
It was really good, but I
Yeah.
probably will still suck my gut in when I have pictures taken. Just saying.
Me too.
But I'll try to let it hang out a little more often on the
There
other
you
side.
go. There you
Yeah,
go.
but I
It's
mean,
all
I
good
get,
news.
I'm completely, and I've heard through the grapevine, through Nicole and everything, that you are one of a kind, Danielle. And I'm saying that
Oh.
positively. So thank you very much
Oh,
for
I
sharing
love you.
today. Yeah, we're glad to hear, we're glad to have you. And thank you, everybody. I will send this link out later to everybody who registered. I don't think we have anybody on who didn't register. So, I think everybody had to get it somehow, but get the link. But thank you. And Danyell, we hope that you will be willing to share with us again soon.
Yes.
Absolutely. It is my
Thank
honor.
you.
So glad
Thank
to be here,
you.
all.
Bye.
Bye.
You too,
Okay,
Danyell.
bye.
Thank you. Everybody have a great day. Be safe. Thanks. Bye-bye.